Hello, everybody. Jonathan Weibel here with another episode of Politics with Jonathan. And today we are talking about an interesting race, which is the 2026 Michigan gubernatorial race. And for those of you that don't really know much about it, we should get a bit of a precursor to this. So, two-term governor Gretchen Whitmer is not running for re-election. She was elected in 2018 by about 10 points, a 9.5 point margin. 2022 by almost 10.5 point margin. And this was pretty embarrassing because up to this race, if I'm able to find it, Whitmer at the very end of this was only up by a point. And it was around 4 points, 3 points. This was seen as a bit of a blowout, and Michigan Dems just had a bit of a landslide election when it came to even the down ballot races. Like Alyssa Slotkin seat didn't even end up flipping. And now we are in 2026 with the Michigan gubernatorial election, and this is an interesting one. So, to start off with, we have Jocelyn Benson, who's the Michigan Secretary of State. And I'm trying to find her electoral history. Oh, yeah. In 2022, she outran Governor Gretchen Whitmer by 14 points. Well, she won by 14 points, so she outran her by about 3.5 points, which is a very impressive overperformance since Gretchen Whitmer already overperformed. And originally, Garland Gilchrist, the lieutenant governor of Michigan, was challenging her, but he wasn't doing too well in the polls. As we'll see down here, he was hardly getting any momentum. His best poll is 17%. As lieutenant governor, that's pretty sad. So he ended up withdrawing to run for Michigan Secretary of State, and he was just nominated. And now, if we go over here, we go to the the Republican primary. We have a few people running now. We have Mike Cox, who was the former Michigan Attorney General and candidate for governor in 2010. We have Perry Johnson, who is a businessman, author, and is currently running for governor of Michigan. And then we have John James, who is the representative from Michigan's 10th Congressional District, nominee for U.S. Senate in 2018 and 2020. And an interesting thing about James to note is he is a serious overperformer. In 2018, his race was the only one in the three core Rust Belt states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, that wasn't over D+10. And also, in 2020, he actually outran Trump by about 0.75%. Trump lost Michigan by 2.5. James lost Michigan against an incumbent, mind you, by 1.75. And Gary Peters wasn't a weak incumbent. He won his first election by over 14 points last time. So it went from 14 to 1.75. That's a very impressive margin of victory. But as of right now, as we see by the polling, Perry Johnson isn't there yet. Perry Johnson's starting to narrow this race for the GOP, and this is not looking the best. I still think John James is going to win this, though the Republican Party is being very dumb right now by by having Perry Johnson be a candidate, because you have to think that Perry Johnson ran for governor of Michigan in 2022, and he didn't get enough signatures to get on the ballot because there are so many candidates. They had to knock some of them off due to how many signatures they had. They had to have a certain amount of signatures, and he did not get that amount, and that is pretty embarrassing for him. And John James is also a serious overperformer. Mike Cox is not a candidate that has too much momentum or even weight behind him. His best poll was 13% all the way back in October. And let's see, is there anything? Oh, yeah. Tom Limmer, the former Speaker of the Michigan House, withdrew. I didn't actually know he was running. He did very well in 2018. He almost won that race. He lost by like 2.5. And I think as of right now, also the minority leader of the Michigan Senate's running, which is interesting. Does he have much momentum? No, he doesn't have much momentum. I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a Benson versus James versus, there's one other candidate we have yet to talk about, Mike Duggan, who is the mayor of Detroit, who was mayor from 2014 to 2026. And he had declared his candidacy as an independent in December of 2024. And as you've seen, he's already garnered a decent bit of support from Democrats and Republicans. And I think his race that he's running also will be quite interesting. He's already raised $5 million. And as we see by the polling, he's doing pretty well in the polling. Quite good to start off with. He's typically polling in the 20s or very high teens. And the reason that many people have labeled this as a toss-up is simply that Duggan will take away more votes from Benson, especially because he was the mayor of Detroit and his approval rating was quite good in that state due to my current recollection. And Benson, that's one of Benson's big voter groups. If we can go to 2022, we can look at how much Whitmer got in Detroit. If it has the map up here. Oh, that's weird. I guess Detroit's just a general area. Not sure. If we go Detroit, what's it called on the map? Yeah, it should be there. I have no idea why Detroit's not listed. Though I'm not very good at knowing the cities of Michigan. Wait, is this it? No, this is not it. Unfortunately, I cannot find it. But Detroit is considered the most populated city of Michigan. It's very democratic, and Duggan will definitely take away from Benson's overall vote total from that. And also, I think he will take away a good bit from her other key stronghold Democratic areas. And also, if John James is the candidate, John James is a very strong overperformer, and even in a Trump midterm where he has the odds stacked against him, I still think he'll perform quite well, especially with the split. And I think this could be a bit of a way for the Republicans down ballot when it comes to Michigan. And I am curious if they'll be able to even hold on to a seat like Tom Barrett's in a midterm year. That's bad for them. And John James's House seat that he's leaving. Oh yeah, there is another report that I found pretty interesting that the White House was looking for another candidate to challenge John James because they did not seem to really like him, which I found interesting, which seems pretty foolish to me. I don't think there's really anything else to mention. Well, this race may have some coattails for the Michigan Senate race. I'm interested to see how that overall will go. And if it does have coattails and you're running somebody like Abdul El Sayed, then yeah, Rogers is going to do pretty well, and I think he'd end up getting a victory around like 0.5 to 1%. I don't think would be good because I think El Sayed is very extreme, and I think with a more moderate state like Michigan, you don't run these more extreme politicians. In a state like New York, it may work, but in a state like Michigan, it simply is not something that will work. And yeah, I think that's all to cover today. Yeah, I don't really see anything else to really talk about when it comes to this race. I hope. Oh, I was going to mention this. These are the videos I'm going to be making to coincide with my Instagram Reels to offer some more insight into what my thinking is, and I will always offer my unbiased political takes because I look at the data and I look at the analysis, and I do not rely on my emotions or other ways to persuade my logic because I do not think that's what we are called to do in political predictions. Like the people that are now saying that South Carolina is a toss-up, I find that absolutely ridiculous. That's their emotions getting to them, not logical predictions. Yeah, if gas was like $15 and everything was being blown up around us, yeah, then South Carolina would be a toss-up. But that's not happening, and I do not think that'll happen. And anyways, please let me know down in the comment section down below what are your thoughts on this video. I normally have a question. Who's the candidate you'll support in this race? If you are in Michigan, or even if you live in Michigan, who's the candidate you'll be supporting? And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.